David Tepper has finally seen enough as the Carolina Panthers have finally fired Frank Reich, and he would no longer be the head coach with this team. They suffered a brutal loss against Tennessee Titans 17-10. And you may say, how is that a brutal loss? They only lost by a touchdown. A 4th and 6 screenplay should be all to tell you what was going on yesterday with the Carolina Panthers and their game plan. Frank Reich was done. He was done over the bye week when he gave his play calling responsibilities to Thomas Brown. And 3 games later, he takes the play calling sheet back. And the next thing you know, everything went downhill for this team. Thomas Brown only had 2 offensive touchdowns that occurred when he was calling plays with this team. But it was a better look for Bryce Young and crew on the field than what it was with Frank Reich. Frank Reich is a horrible offensive mind in the NFL, and he just couldn't get things going. What he had going on with the Indianapolis Colts was not his fault. He never got the quarterback that he fully wanted, and he was going out there playing Russian roulette at the quarterback position, but no fault of his own. That's just the way that the roster was constructed. And you look at him with the Carolina Panthers, rookie undersized quarterback with Bryce Young. Horrible offensive line play. Wide receivers are not that good either. You have one viable option, and that's an Adam Thielen. So you have to come in and coach try to overcompensate everything, and the coaching has to be on point. When a roster offensively looks as bad as the Carolina Panthers roster is, unfortunately, he was not able to get things going. Now, I will say this about Frank Reich. He was still a terrible scheme guy. He was still a terrible play caller. He was still a terrible game manager with this team. At the end of the day, the way that the plays are being called, that's on Frank Reich. You couldn't blame anybody else. You couldn't blame Thomas Brown. You couldn't blame anyone else. You couldn't blame Bryce Young because everything was underneath and everything was so compact. I'm happy for Carolina Panther fans. Hopefully they can move forward and things can get better. But realize this right here. I want to be real with you. Matt Rule was a terrible head coach. But Frank Reich was a worse head coach than Matt Rule with this team. And I understand Matt Rule had Christian McCaffrey. He had DJ Moore. But the Carolina Panthers had more wins and better offensive production with Sam Darnold than they have with Bryce Young and this roster that they have right now. And it's not all on Bryce Young. It's not, and it never was. He still hasn't looked solid in the NFL, in my opinion. But a lot of it is because the offensive line is so bad. He's had some good moments. You can only do so much when you are getting sacked and getting pressured constantly over and over and over again. And it's sad because this offensive line has a lot of draft capital in it and a lot of investment. They paid Austin Corbett big money last offseason. They went out and they drafted Icky at the left tackle position. He's been a huge disappointment with this team this season. Had a solid season last season, his rookie season. This season, not so much. Taylor Moton is long in the tooth. He's not the same tackle that he was in the last previous seasons. He can't get things going. So from tackle to tackle, they're getting beat up right now. It was 3 plays yesterday against Tennessee Titans. Bryce Young snaps the ball. Within 3 seconds, every single lineman was beat at the line of scrimmage, and Bryce Young's trying to get rid of the football. He's the 3rd fastest quarterback when it comes to getting the football out in the NFL, so it's not him holding on to the ball for too long. Frank Reich tried to scheme around that, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. You have wide receivers that can't separate. Adam Thielen is not a fast wide receiver, but he's a very good route runner. Jonathan Mingo has a long way to go in his NFL career, but he can be a very good wide receiver for this team. DJ Chark is best when he's a number 3 to number 4 option. He's a guy that can come in and get some deep bomb plays. That's it. Laviska Shenault can't stay healthy with this team. He has more rushing yards, I record this video, than he has receiving yards on the season. And that's sad because he doesn't even have over 100 yards receiving, or he doesn't even have over 100 yards rushing. That is a sad thing to see. Miles Sanders has been a bust of a signing with this team. I understand early on in the season he was dealing with an injury. That's why he was not able to play in the preseason. He was not able to practice, but he still has been a bad running back with this team. Chuba Hubbard has been a better running back than Miles Sanders. So there's a lot of things going on the offensive end that they just have to fix from a talent standpoint. But most definitely it's a positive sign for them going out here and firing Frank Reich. And they still have a dark future with this team because they don't have a first-round pick in this upcoming draft class. And Brian Burns is scheduled to be a free agent, but they can franchise tag him and move him along to go in and get some draft picks to go get some pieces if they want to do that. But they're going to have to go out this offseason, hire the right coach, and go out there and fix his offensive line yet again. Maybe the offensive line was horrible from a scheme standpoint because the offensive line was not this bad on the back half of last season. They were blocking up right. They were getting things together, and they were a very good run-heavy team on the back half of last season with Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard. One thing that I find very frustrating as well, when the run game was working, Frank Reich went completely away from it, and he said, let's go back to throwing these tight end screens, and let's go back to throwing running back screens behind the line of scrimmage. That doesn't help out your young rookie quarterback. With Thomas Brown, even though the offensive numbers weren't there, he used more motion. He was trying to get guys open to help Bryce Young see the field better. It was the same generic passes over and over again with Frank Reich. He wasn't doing anything special. He was calling the same plays that he was calling with the Philadelphia Eagles years ago when they won that Super Bowl. And let's be completely honest here as well. Doug Peterson did the heavy lifting for that Super Bowl. Frank Reich wasn't the guy that was on there every single week in and week out, dialing up those plays. He had a lot of help, and he's gotten exposed the last couple of seasons in the NFL as a head coach. I like Frank Reich as a person, but as a head coach in the NFL, he's just not it. And everyone's making a joke right now. They're saying that he's aged like a president since he's been with this team, where you're dealing with an owner in David Tepper, and you're dealing with a rookie quarterback that can't stay upright because of a terrible offensive line. Anyone would age in that situation. But at the end of the day, from a talent standpoint, that's on Scott Fitterer, and that's on David Tepper. And Scott Fitterer is the general manager with this team. If Frank Reich's seat was this hot for him to be fired, imagine what Scott Fitterer's seat should be after this season, dealing with the mess that they have on the field right now, because he deserves to get blamed as well for coming up with a lot of these dumb ideas to go and trade Christian McCaffrey last season to the San Francisco 49ers, to go in and put DJ Moore in that trade to go get Bryce Young. And I understand you trading DJ Moore is just a price of business. You're trying to get the first overall pick. You really want your quarterback, but that's the result of playing Russian roulette at the quarterback position by getting guys like Sam Darnold, getting guys like Baker Mayfield, and trading picks for guys that cannot go out and give you big numbers or give you big production on this team. They went and traded for Stephon Gilmore a couple years ago for no reason. He got injured with the team. He wasn't able to get things going, but he still was a very good, valuable corner when he was able to stay on the field. You went and traded a pick for Laviska Shenault for basically no reason. You traded a pick for C.J. Henderson. So these are just a bunch of picks you're trading, just throw at the wall, see what can stick. And it has hurt this team, and it has held this team back. But the biggest thing that has held this team back the last couple of years, besides the lack of talent at the quarterback position, has been the horrible head coaching signings of Matt Rule and Frank Reich. You fired Matt Rule halfway of last season, and you just fired Frank Reich right now. Hopefully over the offseason, whoever the next coach is with this team, hopefully he is offensive minded. He can come out and he can help out Bryce Young and crew, but they're going to have to hit on this next head coach, or it will continue to set you back for years to come. At the end of the day, the Carolina Panthers were a team that was out there year in and year out trying to make a realistic playoff push to just go and see if they can make a Super Bowl push when they had Ron Rivera and Cam Newton, those guys. And Ron Rivera had a lot of good seasons with this team, but he wasn't an elite caliber coach in my opinion. The last time the team had a winning season was in 2017, and that was right before Matt Rule took over. Hopefully, they go in, they hire the right guy next time. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Carolina Panthers? How do you feel about them firing Frank Reich? And can they win some games in this upcoming schedule that they have right now? It's still not going to be easy, but they could look better without Frank Reich. We saw what the Panthers did when they fired Matt Rule. They went on a bit of a high streak. They were pushing to try to make a playoff run. And unfortunately, last game of the season, they were not able to do that. And I want to speak on this as well before I let you guys go. Steve Wilkes did not get a fair chance to this team last season. He came in, he turned the team completely around. I know what happened against the Steelers, and I know what happened against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. The entire secondary was depleted. No J.C. Horn. No Dante Jackson. So C.J. Henderson was your number one corner. You were dead to rights on the back end, and that's what hurt this team. And you were also dealing with Sam Darnold as well. Even though he played solid at times, he was still the quarterback that threw too many interceptions and had too many turnovers. But let me know in the comment section below who should be the next head coach with the Carolina Panthers. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.